Dear students, let's describe another subtopic which is called plant geography. Most of my students, they ask me plant geography as the topic, but in real, plant geography is a part of climatology. Plant geography is a branch of geography which deals with growth, development, and the distribution of plant of the Earth's surface. Vegetation is the total assemblies of grasses and plants in a certain geographical area with a certain climatic condition. By then, I was know that vegetation is based on trees only, or in trees only, but indeed vegetation is consisting of plants and consists of trees and grasses in a certain geographical area. Plant community or plant variable is the assemblies of vegetations which have different species in the same geographical area with the same climatic condition. Example, tropical rainforest. Plant society is the assemblies of vegetation with different species in a local geographical area or small areas. Plant association is the assemblies of vegetation with the same species in the same geographical location or area. For instance, oak trees or moss trees. Factor influence variable plants. Climate. Climate, this is the one which can influence for the rain formation, light, wind, or temperature. Example, in equatorial region, there is high rainfall formation, there is high temperature, and the light, it could be high in nature, and the photosynthesis can be happening. Edaphic factor. Edaphic factor, this is the factor that based on the soil formation. If the soil is fertility in nature or infertility in nature. If the soil is fertility or have more mineralization, therefore the growth or development or distribution of vegetation will be higher than the area which have no or have poor or infertility soil. Relief or physiological factor. Physiographical factor, this a factor whereby the plant is growing to the area of highlands. For instance, the area whereby there is plain area, for instance Dodoma or Singida, it will be impossible formation of rain than the area of high mountainous, for instance Kilimanjaro, or the area which is nearby the water bodies. The fourth factor that influences distribution and development of plants is the human influence. If human or anthropogenic influencing, for instance, is cutting, example, desertification or deforestation can impose for the reduction in terms of development of vegetation. But when the man can conserve this vegetation, will be growing and reach to the summit. Another one is the biotic activities. Biotic activities, these are living organisms. For instance, insects, example, termites, which provide acidic saliva and can cut, or some beets which have strong nail or beak that can destroy the environment. Animal and beets. Animal example elephants, which are just destroying the vegetation. Example, branches of trees is cut off by elephants. Therefore, even the plant to grow or to develop and reach to the summit will be impossible. Altitude. Altitude, this is the height above sea level. Most of vegetation is grown nearby the water bodies because there is high temperature with high rainfall. Example, area of Lindi, Morogoro, Dar es Salaam, Tanga, consists of more vegetation, especially grasses. because of altitude than the area which are far away from water bodies, for example, Singida or Dodoma. Another concept or terms which described in plant geography is plant succession or plant colonization. Is the successive or stage tendency whereby they tend to replace one another after occupying a certain bare land. Is the tendency whereby the vegetation tend to replace one another stage by stage after they occupy the bare lands. Plant successive in the bare land start from simple plant, which is pioneer vegetation, and they grow being replaced by other vegetation up to the climax vegetation or climax vegetation. Climax is the place where the vegetation is the complex stage of vegetation whereby replacement is impossible. Example, evergreen forest. Pioneer vegetation are the simple vegetation which start to occupy a bare land, for instance, moss. Types of plant succession. Plant succession is classified under two categories according to nature, factor influencing, and according to time. According to nature influencing, there is erogenic and autogenic, and they will be discussed later. According to time, there is primary plant succession and secondary plant succession. Allogenic plant succession, this is the colonization of vegetation in certain bare land because of the external influence. Example, accumulation of deposit can cause for the destruction. Autogenic plant succession is the colonization of vegetation in certain bare land which is not influenced by external factors but influenced by internal factors. Example, decomposition of plant and plant leaves. According to time, there is primary plant succession and the secondary plant succession. Primary plant succession is the colonization of plant in certain bare land which has never been occupied by any plant and it takes place slowly. Example, there is some bare land whereby there is no any vegetation which have been grown since the creation of our Jesus Christ or our God. But it is starting at the first one. Occur under difference. Primary succession occur under difference or different environment called series. These are different. There are different series under which simple plant can occur. For instance, plasmolis. Plasmo means sand. Therefore, plasmo series, these are plant which is simple plant grow in sands. Halloseries, when a simple plant grow in the estuaries, and I will draw a structure and I will show where estuaries occur. Hydroseries, when simple plant grow in the water bodies. Xeroseries or lithoseries, when simple plant grow in the bare local. Secondary succession is the colonization of plant in the area which have already been occupied but vegetation have been interfered by external factors. For instance, fire, volcano eruption, or other natural influence. Factors which can hinder the plant succession to reach to the climax. What are factors that cause for a plant to move or to avoid to reach to the summit or to the climax from the bare lands? The following are the factors. For instance, mass wasting. This is the downward movement of weathered material due to gravitational forces and the cause for destruction of plant and avoid it to reach to the summit. Bushing fire. For instance, when you burn some grasses which was just growing and have not completed to reach to the summit, will be destroyed and they avoid it to reach to the summit or to the climax. Another one is volcanism. Volcanism, this is the eruption of molten materials onto the Earth's surface and cause for the formation of lavas. If there is vegetation and have been deposited with lavas, will be destroyed and avoid it to reach to the climax. Another factor is the overgrazing. When there is a movement of animals, for instance, livestock or cattle, from one place to another, will be destroying the vegetation and avoid it to reach to develop or to reach to the climax. because it will be remaining at the simple one. But when overgrazing is taking place, we will avoid this vegetation to reach to the climax or to the summit. Example, in the bush areas or in weed areas or weed forest. The forest, there is the elephant which is roaming or moving from one place to another, and the cause for destruction of vegetation. Another is the deforestation. Deforestation, this refers to the destruction of vegetation which was planted or replanted. Wherever you will cut off this vegetation, will be impossible to reach to the climax because you have been interfered it. Another is erosion. Erosion, this is the downward movement of materials due to its agents, for instance, water, winds, or ice. Therefore, wherever this agent will be happening, will cause the deposition of materials or erosive and cause to avoid vegetation to grow or to reach to the climax or to the summit. Other concepts used in plant geography or some terminology that involved in plant geography. Example, there is a certain terminology called ecosystem. Ecosystem is a unit of life cycle of living and non-living organism, and they are related to the environment they live. This is the relationship between living and non-living things, and they have related to each other. Another terminology is habitat. Habitat is the home of living organism, or is the place where living organisms are found. Therefore, the home or the place where the living and non-living organism can be found is called, especially living organism found is called habitat. Another terminology based on this plant geography is ecology. Ecology is a scientific study which deals with living and non-living organisms with their environment. Therefore, you can find yourself that there is people who are just moving from one place to another so as to study a certain plant. Example, people from Europe or from Asia come to Tanzania or come to Africa so as to make investigation of particular vegetation. Even the people from Africa go to other continents so as to discover or to make investigation on a certain plants. This is called ecology because it's a scientific study which deals with living organisms, not only plants, even animals.